There's something about old cars that just feels different. The smell of the seats, the way the doors closed with a solid thunk, the little quirks that made each ride feel like it had its own personality. Today, most cars feel sleek, efficient, and, let's be honest, a little alike. But back in the day, the smallest details could make you smile. Today, we're looking at 10 car features from the past that you'll probably never see again. So buckle up, roll down the window, manually, and let's take a drive down memory lane. 1. Wing windows. Before air conditioning became standard, cars had these tiny, triangular wing windows you could flip open to catch a breeze. They didn't just bring in air, they funneled in the perfect amount, without your hair flying everywhere. On hot summer days, they were a lifesaver, and in the days before cup holders, folks would even use them to flick out cigarette ashes. But as AC took over in the 70s and 80s, these little glass wings quietly disappeared. Today, they live on in old photos, and in the memories of anyone who's ever taken a road trip with their arm resting on the sill. 2. Fender-mounted turn signals. In the 40s and 50s, many cars had turn signals mounted right on the front fenders, little chrome arrows that would blink proudly. You could actually see them from the driver's seat, making it easy to know your signal was working. They gave cars a certain charm, like jewelry for your ride. But as automotive design streamlined and safety regulations tightened, these perched signals were absorbed into headlights and bumpers. Now they're just another detail lost to time. 3. Ashtrays and lighters in every seat. There was a time when cars came with ashtrays in every door and cigarette lighters on the dash, and sometimes even in the back seats. Smoking was simply part of the culture, and car makers treated it as a built-in amenity. Kids today might see those flip-out trays and have no idea what they were for. As health campaigns and smoking bans changed habits, these little features vanished. Today, they're replaced by cup holders and USB ports, symbols of a very different kind of habit. 4. Hood ornaments. From leaping cats to soaring birds, hood ornaments were once a statement of style. Brands like Cadillac, Jaguar, and Packard made them into works of art. Some even doubled as radiator caps in the earliest days. But as theft became an issue and pedestrian safety laws tightened, these gleaming mascots faded away. Now, you'll only see them at classic car shows, where they still sparkle in the sun like the crown jewels of motoring. 5. Crank windows. Before power windows became the norm, you had to earn your fresh air by cranking a handle, sometimes several turns for a stubborn back window. There was something satisfying about the click-click-click as the glass rolled up or down. It was simple, reliable, and didn't need a fuse or a motor to work. But convenience won out, and now even the most basic new cars have buttons instead of cranks. It's progress, sure, but it's hard to beat the honesty of that old-fashioned handle. 6. Bench seats in the front. Once upon a time, the front seat was a single, wide bench. No center console, no bucket separation. Couples could sit close on a date night, kids could squeeze in for a short ride, and you could slide right across when parking. It made a car feel like a living room sofa on wheels. But as seatbelts, airbags, and sportier designs took over, bench seats disappeared from passenger cars. You'll still see them in old pickups, but in sedans, they're a rare sight indeed. 7. Floor-mounted dimmer switches. For decades, switching between high and low beams meant tapping a little button near your left foot. It felt like a secret pedal only you knew about. It kept your hands on the wheel and your eyes on the road. But as interiors modernized, dimmer switches moved to the turn signal stalk, and the old foot button faded into history. If you learned to drive in a car with one, you probably still remember the satisfying click under your shoe. 8. Curb feelers. These thin metal springs stuck out from a car's fenders and made a scraping sound when you got too close to the curb. They were especially popular in the 50s and 60s, when white wall tires were all the rage. You didn't want to scuff them. They looked a little funny, but they worked. Once parking sensors and backup cameras arrived, curb feelers seemed quaint, and most people let them go. Still, the sound of that gentle ting-ting-ting is pure nostalgia. 9. Manual chokes. Cold morning? In older cars, you'd pull a little knob, the choke, to adjust the fuel mixture so the engine would start. It was one of those small rituals that made you feel connected to your machine. Too much choke, and it would sputter. Too little, and it wouldn't start at all. Fuel injection made chokes obsolete by the 90s, but for those who remember, that pull-and-pray moment was part of the charm of driving. 10. Tail fins. Nothing says mid-century America quite like the sweeping tail fins of the 50s. Inspired by jet planes and rockets, they made cars look like they were built for the future. Bigger fins meant bigger bragging rights, until tastes shifted in the 60s, and the space-age styling gave way to cleaner lines. Today, tail fins are a symbol of optimism from a time when the open road felt limitless. And they still turn heads wherever they go. Outro. Cars today may be safer, faster, and more efficient, but they've lost a little of that handmade magic. These old features remind us of a time when driving felt like an adventure, and every car had its own personality. Which of these do you remember? And which would you bring back if you could? If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We've got plenty more stories from the good old days, and the road ahead is just getting started.